How do you know that you shifted timelines? And how can you consciously shift to a desired timeline? This is what we're going to talk about in this video. We're at a point in history right now when we have to decide whether we want to go to the dark side or to a better side. And knowing if you're in the right timeline can be incredibly powerful to know if you're aligning yourself properly. But first of all, how do you know that you shifted timelines and how can you do it consciously? Well, I remember a few months back, there was a very, very big timeline shift for me. I had an accident in which I had to stay about 8 months in the hospital. And when I came out of the hospital, I remember clearly one day I was chewing my food, I was eating my dinner, and I noticed my tooth in the back was not there anymore. And it had nothing to do with the accident because for like 8 months, actually more than 8 months by that time, like almost a year, I had been eating every day and never noticed that the tooth was missing. But I have a big hole right now and I don't have a tooth that's there. So how did that happen? One day I had a tooth, the other day I didn't have a tooth, and I was puzzled by that. And till this day, I'm like, I'm not used to it because it used to be there. Yes, I had a root canal that was there years and years ago. I paid $3,000 for that tooth. And as I said, one day I just woke up, it was not there. And that's when I realized, Jesus, I shifted timelines. Like it was a huge timeline shift. And I thought to myself, did I just miss that I didn't have a tooth for like a year? And that's impossible, right? So timeline shift can be as dramatic as this, whereas, you have like a tooth that's missing or that's there and it was not there the day before, or it can be as mundane as what happens to me all the time, which is yesterday, for instance, I was reading a book and I was looking for a highlighter and I knew this highlighter was in my bag. I took the bag upside down. I shook it upside down. I took everything out. Nothing. 10 minutes later, I go and the highlighter is in the bag exactly where I looked. No one's in the house. How did it get there? I don't know. But whenever this happens to me, I consciously tell myself, you've shifted timelines. You shifted timelines. I reaffirm it because it's the action of reaffirming that, first of all, ingrains it in my mind and tells me I'm going in the right direction because I'm noticing these small things. I mean, the tooth was pretty big, but I'm consciously choosing to notice these small and big things. Now, we can take it a step further to really shift into a positive timeline, the kind of timeline we want to live in. And the way we do so is by being what I would call incredibly biased. And by the way, if you're interested in how to do this, I have a book that talks about this particular strategy in order to manifest your dream life. In the book, I talk about this particular technique, which is basically the confirmation bias principle. And what you want to do is that you want to look at the world in a very, very biased way, in a positive way. You want to reframe things a lot to suit your particular desires. So I'm going to look at a very big thing that's happening right now, which is the war that's happening, obviously, in Ukraine. When we talk about war, for instance, all of us will say, oh, it's really sad to have the war. It's not fun. There's nothing that's positive. And we give a lot of negative energy. We have positive intentions, but we give negative energy. What this does is that it feeds the negative entities that are creating these negative events. It's the same thing that happens every day when we watch the news and we see someone getting hurt, or we see people robbing a place, and we feel so bad for these people. By feeling bad for these people, even though we have good intentions, we give them our creative energy and we create more of those negative energies. Now, I want to prove that to you beyond the shadow of a doubt. That's very, very important. What we're going to do is that we're going to do a reality creation exercise, okay? And the way we're going to create this reality, and you're going to see it created right in front of you, right here, right now, is that we're going to take our hand. I'm going to take our thumb, and we're just going to press in the middle right here. We're going to activate the energy center. We're going to take our other thumb, we're going to press in the middle, and we're going to activate this energy center. Okay? Now, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to put our hands like this and just move your hand up, down, up, down. Just notice if you feel anything. Now, we're going to do a little bit different. I want you to imagine a ball of light between your hands. Just imagining. And start moving it. Start moving your other hand. And notice the sensation. Now, my hands are far apart. There's no way that, there's like air that makes it warm or whatnot. It's just the energy. As soon as you bring to mind the ball of light, you can feel the ball of light moving. You can feel it. That is your mind creating reality. And as soon as you give your attention, your creative energy to negative news out there, for instance, you feed that negative reality. So how can you shift it to a positive timeline? Now, this sounds crazy. I know. Okay, I'm totally aware that this sounds crazy. But what you need to do is reframe, not ignore, reframe. And I don't like everything that is politically correct, but it is very useful just for example purposes to do this right here, right now. So there is a war happening in Ukraine right now, for instance. So what we can say is that, well, instead of, oh, it's so bad that the war is happening, I feel so bad for the people in those countries suffering so much, we could say something like, there is a conflict happening right now. And it's a great thing because it forces the world to see the social political situation of the world. And it allows us to pay attention to things we never paid attention before. As a result, I know the world is going to be a better place. Now, we did not ignore the fact that there's a conflict. We reframed it from war to conflict, and we put a really, 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 really positive spin on it. I know it's not positive for the people that are there, but what we did our best is not to give any negative attention to the powers that be that want to be negative. We took that attention away. We reframed it in a way that frames it in a positive manner so that we can consciously shift our attention to positivity. And the more people do this, for instance, for this particular event that's happening in the world, the more we shift the entire timeline globally to where there's peace. The problem happens when we have media that is feeding us these constant news, and it feeds us these negative energies. So our goal, our objective is to get this negativity, reframe it, and by reframing it, putting new positive energy into the world, not ignoring, but twisting it into a way that is positive. That's what we need to do. Now, let me give you a much more simple example. that would happen in your everyday life in order for you personally to shift to a timeline where you have the life of your desires. So a lot of people want to live in a timeline where they're wealthy, for instance. So what you can do is, instead of looking at your paycheck saying, oh my God, I don't have a lot of money, when you go outside, you say, my God, I'm so freaking lucky. I went outside today and I bought myself a sandwich. Man, I'm so wealthy. My God, I'm so wealthy. I paid my rent today. My God, I'm so wealthy. I'm so lucky that I had my bill, my telephone bill today. I love having my telephone bill. Having my telephone bill means that I have enough money to pay my telephone bill. Now, by reframing this way, you put the positivity on the bill. The bill becomes a positive thing, right? Does it sound crazy? Yes, it does. Is it totally opposite to what we're taught? Yes, it is. And let me tell you another thing to make it even more powerful. What you can do, instead of saying, oh my God, I'm so happy that I received this bill today because it proves that I'm very wealthy because I'm able to pay for this phone bill. Let's say your name is François. Well, my name is François, right? So you would say, François is so damn lucky today. He got his phone bill. That proves that he has enough money to go ahead and pay for his phone bills. He is so lucky to be so freaking wealthy. So you detach yourself from the statement, allowing this statement to go into your subconscious mind even easier. Do both I am statement and third party perspective statement. That's going to allow you to shift and shift and shift and shift and shift. Because once you shift your attention, you shift your reality. Remember, emotion equals energy in motion. Shift your perspective and you will shift your reality. You will shift your identity. You will shift universe. So I hope this video was helpful. If you like this video, please go ahead, like, and subscribe.